hit like, and subscribe. You're watching the Marc Lamont Hill official YouTube channel.
Good morning, Ekaro family. Welcome back to Ascending. It has been a week. We were not here last week, but today is September 27th, and we are here today. We are grateful for you attending. We have an amazing show. We got a lot of things to talk about. We want to hear from you, to our Ascending viewers, those who are watching on Marc Lamont Hill official YouTube, and those who are watching on Marc Lamont Hill's Twitter channel. So y'all got to know by now, right, that Marc is not here. This is the show that I host on his channel. So go ahead and tell your people. Marc was here one time as a special guest, and he'll be back before the year is over, hopefully. But this is your girl, April R. Silver, with our 35th episode of Ascending on Marc Lamont Hill Official. So welcome. Make sure that you're in the chat. Tell us from where you are ascending. We definitely want to know what country, what city, because we know y'all watch from all over the world. We definitely want to let you know right now who is our guests. Our guests for today are Brujas of Brooklyn. This is going to be an amazing show. We have been excited about this. We've been waiting. So we can tell you right now, buckle up. It's going to be a wonderful, insightful show. So with that said, we're going to jump right into a couple of other things that we normally do. Oh, wait. I didn't even thank the team. Hold on. We definitely want to thank the Marc Lamont official team, everybody over there that's keeping the ship running. I want to thank my team, the A team, Drake, Aaron, Kevin, and Sandy. While we're doing that, go ahead and tell your people to go ahead and watch. Put in the chat from where you are ascending. We want to shout you out at the end. And now we can jump into, y'all know me. Some of you know me by now. You totally know the vibe here. So of course, we're going to start off Bookmark by paying homage to our beloved sister warrior, freedom fighter who transitioned. So we're going to talk about that in a minute. We have a special piece of content we want to show at the end of the show, this live stream. But if you've been watching for a minute, you know that Bookmark is a standard thing, and you know that we've talked about Assata, an autobiography by Assata Shakur. You know we've had that as a bookmark. This is the opportunity for us to push up our writers. And because our beloved Assata Shakur passed just 2 days ago, we wanted to do this bookmark again. So if you haven't already read it, and many of you have, but if you haven't already read the autobiography of Assata Shakur, do yourself a favor, do your brain a favor, do your soul a favor. It will ignite you, inform you. It will educate you about this life that we choose to live as freedom fighters, as warriors for justice. So it stands to reason that we want you to get this book from wherever you can, but we do a bookmark reminder every week where we want the audience to support Black bookstores. We actually have a reminder for people to support Uncle Bobby's. But any independent or Black-owned bookstore, be it online or whatever, we definitely want you to patronize those books and keep our institutions intact. So that's very, very important. So it goes without saying that we have Black Media shout out before we do in memoriam, right? So the Black Media shout out for today, and I'm gonna tie this in. The other segment we do is Black Media shout out, and today's Black Media shout out, the Black space where we push our media institutions, our own media institutions, is Night School. The banner is always telling you to go to night school, but we want to emphasize that extra, especially because our dear beloved Marc Lamont Hill did a special live on his channel just a couple of days ago in support and memory of the life and legacy of Assata Shakur. So we want to encourage you to definitely subscribe to this channel. Yes. We want you to donate money and become a member if you can. Yes. We want you to watch Mark's shows on his own channel for sure. And we're going to show a piece of content that he did just 2 days ago, which was a really short but meaningful tribute. We're going to just be lifting up Assata, throughout the whole episode, directly and indirectly. But for Black Media Shout Out today, we wanted to say, please support this channel, subscribe, donate if you can, watch, and become informed, become educated, because Mark does an excellent job. The educator and public intellect that he is, and beyond that, just an amazing human being. So our in memoriam today is, needless to say, Assata Shakur just passed at the age of 78 Thursday. Today is September 27th, and she passed on September 25th. Amazingly, it's obvious, it's predictable for the community that we're a part of, that she is being remembered, she's being uplifted. All over social media is being flooded with people who have met her. I've never had the blessing to go to Cuba to meet her, but so many of my friends have. And so people are taking a minute, they're just checking out for a minute, because we characterize this as a loss, right? Because as humans, we grieve when family members make their transition from physical form to spirit form. There's a lot of commentary saying that at last she's free. I have the mindset that she was always free. That's why we love her so much. Her conscious decision to stay free, even incarcerated, even in exile, she'd been free. I am of the mindset that we don't talk about those who made their transitions as in the past, because if we believe that energy never dies, then the spirit of Assata is with us. I think it's okay to talk about her in the presence. We're not talking about her physical form, but her spirit lives on. I do believe that, but we want to lift up the fact that that she did transition from physical form to the ancestral realm. So we definitely want to say thank you to her spirit. May we never be disconnected from her spirit. And we want to give our loving embrace energetically to her entire family, her comrades, to each other, as we contemplate this amazing warrior's life, for all the love that she poured into us. So that is an important thing that we want to do today. Yeah, I'm gonna try not to be too somber about it, but we have a lot to celebrate. We have a lot to celebrate, that she graced us, that we've been graced with her life lessons and such. I think it's a perfect segue into we can take these banners down, and the picture and the banners down. I think it's a perfect segue to our guests, who I'm going to bring on in just a quick moment. Brujas of Brooklyn are here. I'm telling you now, buckle up. We've been waiting for this. The reason why I think it's important is because we have a conversation about divine sacred energy, divine sacred feminine energy. Let me be specific. So if I had banners and bells and whistles and horns or whatever, they'd be sounding right now. So welcome to Ascending, Dr. Griselda Rodriguez Solomon. Hope I said that right. And Dr. Miguelina Rodriguez, Brujas of Brooklyn. Welcome to Ascending.
Thank you. April.
Bells and whistles, right? Our own sound claps and such.
Hold on, I teach here.
Yes, that part. See, now I got to go get one of those now, right? Because we don't have the sound effects. But moving forward, I will always give you the credit, because I'm gonna have my fan or whatever, my pom pom, whatever.
We teach virtually, so we have to do anything to keep our students engaged.
Yes. Thank you so much for deciding to be with us. I first became aware of you a couple of years ago My business partner, my brother, one of the producers of the show, is always giving me these things like, you need to check this, you need to check this. And I've been a fan ever since. That was a couple of years ago. Then we got this show, and he was like, yo, you got
Yeah, that sounds like Drake.
yes, that was Drake Holiday. So excited, so excited, so excited. And before we jump into the work, we want to celebrate a wedding, a milestone that just happened. See, this is why I feel special, right? On Monday, Miguelina, you got married, and here you are with us on a Saturday. I feel like I better make this an amazing show.
Thank you, thank you. Yes, and it's an honor. I'm like, yeah, I worked the day before my wedding that Sunday, and I'm working today. And using the word work is so weird because it's definitely a pleasure as part of my purpose. But yes, I'm now Dr. Rodriguez Geraldo, which is so weird and new but beautiful. So thank you. My sister was like, only Miguelina will get married on a Monday. It was the fall equinox. I'm like, I'm doing it.
There was an eclipse.
There was an eclipse, and like over 60 people showed up to the celebration on a school night. So
Wow.
yeah.
Monday was an eclipse as well. Wow, I didn't know that part.
Yeah.
That's magical.
Yeah.
That's really magical.
Yes.
May your relationship blossom in ways that you can't even in your human mind comprehend. So may there just be joy and a blessed bonded relationship. And to you too, and your marriage, Griselda, for sure. So that's from my heart. That's from my heart, because I love when we love
11 years. 11 years. Yeah.
yeah, and that balance between masculine and feminine, all the things. Thank you for sharing that news. All right, let's jump in. Let's jump in. I don't do interviews. I do conversations. That's what I like to say on this live stream. So let's start with the obvious, right? What are Brujas? What is that? Let me turn it over to you and just jump in and give all the explanations.
Hi, y'all. So Brujas is the Spanish word for witch. So we are the witches of Brooklyn. And a witch is a magical person, a witch, a bruja. And for us, brujas in particular are Black and brown witches, because part of our purpose is to reclaim that power, not only from the negativity, but also because in the historical reclamation of the witch, it's been kind of like whitewashed, where a lot of the old school witches, like from the Wizard of Oz and Bewitched, right, and Charmed, tend to be white, when in reality, historically, a lot of the magic that we are now reclaiming in the 21st century has been historically embodied by African women, indigenous women. So a witch is a magical person, a magical woman, a feared person, a misunderstood woman. And we have decided to reclaim that word because it was tabooed. It was brought down historically for very particular purposes, specifically to not allow women and people of color to have a power that they don't need to do anything but just sit with themselves to reclaim.
Yeah, and what we did is we took a lot of teachings from our lineage, right? So we're identical twins, and we're one of 7 pair, and we are the elders now. We had an elder pair that passed away right before the pandemic at 90 and 91, and they were magical. They interpreted dreams. They were numerologists, herbalists, and we took that, but we weaved it into the modern world, right? Where you can have an altar in your office. You can do breath work on the train as New Yorkers to calm your nervous system, and we're kind of also demystifying what a witch looks like. You go to our workshops and we have on white shorts with our head wrapped and our door knockers. And, we'll hold a session on twerking and releasing pent up energy in your pelvis and your womb. So we're merging ancestral and modern. And we're the Brujas. We've been called witches since we were little girls, and we were never no. We were yeah, that's kind of cool.
How did you know to not be I don't know. How did you know to not be that way? What was in you already that made you embrace it?
That's a good.
It was, I mean, I have chills as you asked that. It was, we're very big on, I like what you opened with Asada, with regards to like energy is eternal and never dies. So we believe that we were energetically meant to be these women since before our birth. So that's part of it. Second is that we were raised by witches. They weren't calling themselves that, but the altars, the spiritual baths, going to mediums, just that we grew up in a very magical world because we spent a lot of time in New York and we spent a lot of summers in Dominican Republic. So it was nothing for us to go to the backyard in our childhood home in Dominican Republic and our aunts having like herbs sitting under this in water under the sun to enter to charge it to then bathe themselves and sometimes bathe us with these herbal baths. So we never, and then one of our favorite movies is The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
And then watching them when we were around 8 for the first time, it kind of gave us a visual, even though
we were 6. Sorry, we were 6.
Even though the Wicked Witch of the West was perceived to be evil, right now, with Wicked, the play and the movie, we understand that she wasn't evil. She was misunderstood. She was angry. So I think it was fun at first. And then when we got older and life served us life on a platter, we instinctively knew to reach to those tools to survive predominantly white institutions of higher ed, to survive the racism within these towns that we live, to survive the sexism that we experience being catcalled or gawked at by men in New York City.
Touched.
Right, groped even. We knew how to reach into those tools to not go crazy.
Yeah, and it's thank you for that, Gary. That was a beautiful answer. Like, like when you're born with something, you can't make it up. Like this is my home. And when I moved here 4 years ago, I brought all my stuff. I was living with my mom. And one day I'm in this room. This is like my office altar room, future baby room, putting it out there. And I'm like unpacking and I ran across a book that I owed from the New York Public Library on Bushwick and DeKalb. We grew up in Best Eye. And I first look at the back of the book and I'm like, oh my God, this book was due in 1991. I turned the book over and it is a book about witches and warlocks. And I checked that book out when I was 9 years old. And I saw the book. I even forgot it existed. It's an orange book. And I saw it and I like cackled because I was like, you cannot make this up. So that's how Gria and I have been able to embrace it. And to be honest with you, I'll speak for myself and I know I could speak for you, but I'll speak for myself. My Bruja identity has saved my life many times.
How so?
It has saved me from losing my mind, being a woman of color, being a Dominican woman that embraces her African ancestry, identifying as Black and being proud, and the backlash you get from both sides, right?
Yeah.
The Latino community, like, no. And then the like non-Latino Black community, like, no. Gris said the systemic racism, the systemic sexism. We went to undergrad SUNY Binghamton, and that being a culture shock. Health scares, right? Health scares, navigating cancer diagnosis. Our mother is an older woman. She's 83 years young, and we're caretakers. And if you are a caretaker, you know the toll that could take on you. So my practice, my meditation, my teas that I take, the tonics, they really, really help me not lose it, not emotionally, not mentally, and not physically.
I love that. And as a caretaker myself, I can totally relate. You know what I mean? There's something about watching your parent who is larger than life for all of your life. Larger than life. If you are in a relationship with your parent and it's a healthy one, right? And then to see them not be as always larger than life, but you see some cognitive decline or whatever. That's a thing in and of itself. So hats off to you for that, and to all the other caretakers who are watching, because I'm probably the proudest 57-year-old that you know. So we're all in this age where we are. So many of us are doing that. So I just wanted to shout that out to you. But I wanted to also ask, it's delightful to hear that you've been grounded since you were children, right? Like you don't know another way to be except to be proud, of your ancestry, even as spiritual practitioners. But would it be fair to say that even with that grounding, the world is like this still nonetheless, right? Like the world is like, oh, that's evil. Oh, what you're doing is evil. And you just go to church. You need Jesus. I'm sure that vibe has like come. And sometimes as Amina Baraka, I always say this quote. She's always like, sometimes the offense is so great, it looks like we're not fighting. So I'm focusing on the fact that the offense is so great against women, against Latina or Latina women, women of African ancestry, and then you going around proudly proclaiming that you're witches. Like how? Like what fortifies you besides your practice itself? Each other. Okay.
Like
Okay.
we tag team, like for real, we tag team. Like, okay.
I'm tired. Come on.
Like, it's a lot. And I think that when you break cycles, right? When you are a cycle breaker, it takes a level of mental stamina because you will be gaslit by society. You will be gaslit by the people around you, well-meaning people. And then as human, we're only human. You sit and you start to doubt, like, am I doing too much? Why can't I just tone it down? Griselda, why don't you just baptize Talib? Like, why don't you just do it? Like all these things. And then I turn to her and she's like, no, girl, like, no, I feel like you feel. Our community, we have a beautiful community. Our mom taught us about community very young. My mother is like the glue family. So we have a large group of friends, and then we have a large group of women that have joined us since we started our platform, Brujas of Brooklyn, back in 2012. So each other, books. We are avid readers. I was holding back tears, you sharing about Asada Shakur. That book changed my life. I read it in the summer of 2003. I had just come back. We studied abroad in West Africa, in Senegal, and I was revolutionized. And I came back and I devoured that book. And I remember it really shifted my paradigm and it empowered me. So books, absolutely, absolutely.
And I appreciate the question because we equally fortify ourselves, but like Mika says, we're also human, and there are moments, not so much now, but early on in our journey, where the pushback would wear at my spirit and Miga's spirit sometimes. Like, for example, 2020 during the lockdown, that's when we started to go like baby viral, and there started to be buzz around our name. So we would get on lives, and there wasn't one live that there was a heckler. You're evil. You should be praying. You're gonna be burned in hell. They should burn you the same way that your ancestors were burned. And the Brooklyn in us comes out, right? Like the Nugget book wants to come out. But at the end of the day, there were moments where it kind of like wears at you. And there have been not enough, but there have been some moments, I'll speak for myself, where I've sat and was like, is this something I want to keep doing? And, in full transparency, Miguelina and I both had some health complications last year. I needed to have emergency surgery, trigger warning is around pregnancy loss. And there was like 2 seconds of me that was like, is this like a sign that from God that I'm not walking on my purpose? And thank God I just took a deep breath and I was like, absolutely not. Who much is given, much is expected. So I also know that one of our spiritual elders, Mama Moon, also Queen of Four, they taught us that when you are energy workers and you hold a lot of energetic space for other people, if you don't take care of yourself with intention and you don't unplug, that energy could wear your body down. And I know part of it's not to blame us, it's more like looking at energy in a very give and take type of way. It was just God sitting us down and being like, y'all need to rest, y'all need to stop pouring from empty cups. So yeah, it's now humorous when people believe that we're gonna go to hell, and I'm like, well, you're living in a hell if you're projecting that onto another human being.
Yeah, that I so deeply, deeply appreciate. Talk about holding back tears. Like I really appreciate that honesty. As someone who, and I shared with you, Megalina, when we talked, as someone who is um, an Orisha and Ifa practitioner myself for the past 30 something years, having had a couple of initiations, I totally understand that thing about energy work and what you absorb, right? And because to communicate and go back and forth between the physical world
Yeah.
and the spiritual world takes some training, right? It takes some training, it takes some discipline, it takes some believing, but it's a practice. That's one of the things we say, that it's a practice. But even with that, to your point, it the human and the chaos in the world can weigh on you. So this is all a setup for, have you found in the past full 8 months under the Trump administration, have you found the onslaught to be heavier, to be more demonic? Because we know the regime of Trump's administration is demonic, right? We know that it's inhumane. Has the load on your shoulders, or the battle, has it gotten harder in the past 8 months because of what's happening in real time from the federal government right now? Do you
Um,
see what I'm asking? Yes.
yeah. Yes and no. Yes, because this time around, this second time in hell with this administration, it's very personal because a lot of our family voted for him. So to
Ah,
me, it was like, this is beyond systemic. This isn't like this far off administration. Like my blood, people's
yes,
blood and mine run through our bodies, voted for this man. And then when they're pressed and questioned, they're single issue voters. And then when the single issue is like revealed, I'm infuriated, I'm embarrassed, I'm sad. So for me personally, that has been something very personal. And then, he's elected during the holidays. So there's all these events. And I'm like, F you, you cool, you're not invited, you invited, but your mama's not invited. And then it turned into this, like, honestly, this battle. And this is where Gri and I, we balance each other. My name is Miguelina. I'm named after Saint Michael, San Miguel, a bearer of the scales, warrior. I'm very big. I believe in Ma'at and the 42 laws of Ma'at. Thank you, for
Divine justice.
and a little commercial break. We also want to send condolences and rest in power to Baba Haru. Baba Haru passed away.
yes.
Taught us so much. So these scales come in, and Griselda reminds me, like, Gri, Mige, Ma'at, remember everything in a state of balance. So I've had to work really hard, April, to remember my humanity so that I
Yeah.
can remember the humanity of the people. And I'm gonna keep it real. For my wedding, like setting up a guest list, it wasn't just like, the typical quote unquote rules. Like, if you don't know my now husband, if you haven't been along this ride with me as husband and wife, or fiance and fiance, then you're not invited. The added layer was, well, if you voted for Trump, you ain't coming to my wedding. But I also had to, like, honestly navigate that. So for me, it's been very personal. But the other side of it, the gift, is that I've had to really tap into my power and my practice, because I love another book that has changed my life is Pedagogy of the Oppressed.
Oh my gosh. I could hug you through the screen right now. Yes.
Listen, I don't care if I'm teaching writing. I don't care if I'm teaching math. I don't care if I'm teaching urban sociology. Y'all gonna read that book if you sit
Yes.
and be
Yes.
student. And Paulo Freire reminds us, like, if you have to remember your humanity, because if you go down to their level, you're going to become like an oppressor or worse. And I had to remember that. So it's been this beautiful dance where there's rage and there's a lot of sadness, but then there's a lot of empowerment, because then in these last 8 months, Griselda and I, we have intentionally created so much joy.
Yeah, and I think I appreciate the question about the administration, the 8 months, and I think it's a balance. And I hope maybe not to lose some folks with what I'm about to say, lose in the sense of, try to follow. Though it's that there are multiple worlds in the world. Everybody has a world in their head with their consciousness.
That part, yes.
Right? So we have to remember that. Like, I have to remember that when I'm trying to make sense of somebody else's life that doesn't make sense, like, why the hell would you vote for this person? It's my consciousness trying to understand theirs. And shout out to Hassani, Mama Vida, another teacher of ours, that taught me that's where strife comes in and unhappiness, because you're using your consciousness to understand theirs. So that helps to reduce the rage. Also is that we see existence as like a matrix. There is a matrix out there, the administration, social media, the antics, the abuse, and we must always keep a foot there, because we are in the world, we are in the matrix. We're not of it, but we are in it.
Yes.
We can't float above it and live in the woods like some people have tried and are doing, but that's not our purpose. So I keep one foot grounded there, but then I have another world where that is insignificant for the moment. When I'm in meditation, right now, in this present moment, we are here, we're activated, there's a lot of love, the vibration is high. So we tend to swing between these two worlds. We peek into the matrix, what's going on, politicize ourselves, empower ourselves, join causes, donate to movements, use the platform to call stuff out. But then we have to come back to the spirit world and recharge, because if not, then we will be wounded healers. We would be the jaded activists that can't seem to find joy because of the burden of feeling guilty when they know that there's so much going on. This comes with age. You would have asked us this 15 years ago, we would have been those jaded activists that we don't fuck with you if you voted for Trump. And yes, that's still true, but we extend the family members that voted for him more compassion, because if they knew better, they would do better.
And I'd be like, but then I have to remember.
Your articulation is so incredibly spot on, and it's digestible, and I really appreciate it. This concept of balance and going between both worlds. My Oluo, my Babalao, Chief Ayanda Clark, who's been on the show, reminds us frequently as a Ifa initiate, balances everything.
Yes.
And we believe that the natural order of this world is chaos. That's what we're taught. Right? And then here we are as humans, and dare say be the humans that embrace and absorb and devote their lives to Ifa, to Yoruba culture as expressed in the spiritual realm, or whatever that spiritual practice is, then we got to be prepared, right, to deal with the chaos, because we believe that chaos is the natural order. So I appreciate you talking about balance and not being, what did you say, wounded?
Healers.
Wounded healers. Yeah, that's really, really important. I want to just because I feel so connected, and I'm coming out a season of darkness, right? After the first 8 months of the year. So having come out of a season of darkness that just almost flattened me. One thing for me, and I'm asking for your experience when you've had a season of darkness and come through it. For me, it was this notion of being still, right? My Oluo was like, you think that you can fix your problems by doing. You got to call this person, you got to do this thing, you got to put things in motion, because that's what we do. And it was in the doing, and he helped me to understand the only thing you got to do right now is sit still and be quiet. It's almost like a person who is drowning, God forbid, a person who is drowning, and didn't know that the lifeguard sometimes knocks the person out because they're flailing so much, because it's hysteria, it's panic, and it's all of this anxiety, because they're thinking that if they do all of this, that they'll save themselves, and they're actually making it worse. And I didn't know that some lifeguards literally have to knock them out in the head so they can relax, so they can be saved. I say that to say there's this thing about being still in the chaos. Have you had that has that been a part of your understanding and your journey as well? Still?
And one thing for those that are tuned in, God, the universe, the Most High, Olodumare, however you choose to name this being, this omnipotent presence that we
Yes.
are in and we are of, will send you whispers, will send you nudges, rest.
And then like a nudge.
And then it's like a nudge
then
and a
push.
shake. And if
Yeah.
you don't listen, that's where the God protecting us all. That's where the falls happen. That's where the accidents happen. That's where the surgeries happen. When you've been led to rest, and like your elder taught you, instead of doing, we are meant to be. Like human beings are meant to be. But I think as you were speaking, April, what came through me was that's also a legacy burden of being descendants of enslaved Africans, that our worth was rooted in how much we produce.
Yes, the productivity, quote unquote productivity. Yeah.
This is why our mothers find it hard to rest. This is why sometimes we find it hard to rest, because that wiring is in our DNA, where our purpose and our worth is rooted in how much we can produce.
And then you add capitalism to that, which
Yes.
is tied in and even more. Sorry.
So I think that absolutely these are dark nights of the soul, and those are the moments where you're led to just be. And we teach, we're also yoga instructors, and yoga is a beautiful dance between the masculine and the feminine. In the West, they've presented yoga mostly masculine. The bring your head over your neck, bring your foot over your neck, and do a backflip. Those are all important, right? That's the active masculine part. But actually, yoga is more feminine, because the most important aspect of yoga is breathing, is the pranayama, right? And what we were taught and we teach is that the most important pose in any yoga flow is the rest,
Savasana,
at the end, because all that movement that you do in those 60 to 90 minutes, you have to integrate into your DNA, and the only way to integrate is by lying on your back.
Oh my God.
Yeah, for Westerners like all of us that are indoctrinated in this dogma of doing it, we find that it is the hardest pose for people, because you have to just lay and rest. So that itself, yoga itself teaches us the significance of being and being still.
Yeah, and that is beautiful. I remember looking at different yoga studios I wanted to practice in. This is before I was certified. And I remember one particular studio, I was like, oh, I'd like to join them. I looked at the class list, Virgo rising, Virgo cusp. That's what we do. I looked at the class list, and I remember they offered a class and they were like, no Savasana. Like you could skip Savasana. And
which is the deep rest.
Okay.
And then I remember being like, And then I go to teacher training like a year or two later, and my teacher training was so beautiful. I had like a very young teacher that was like in his early 30s, and I had a much mature teacher, and she was in her early 70s. So those were my two teachers, and they both equally were like, as a yoga teacher, you do not skip Savasana. You do not skip the rest. And I think that in a capitalist system, rest is sabotaging.
Shout out to the NAP ministry.
Yes.
NAP ministry is one of our favorite, one of our favorite accounts. We love what y'all doing.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's just a reminder, like you are sick, tired, depressed, like just burnt out. You are you're a pawn. You're useful in capitalism. When you're rested, when you're not easily hooked by the propaganda and what you see on Instagram and the shoulds in life, you're a little less useful for capitalism. So they want you to be working, and rest is for the weary. I'll sleep when I die. And people like, oh girl, I got 5 hours of sleep. 5, girl, I got 3. Like I sit there like, that's not a badge. But I think for my sister and I, the seasons remind us.
Yeah,
we're cyclical beings. First of all, as people that have a menstrual cycle, even if you are in perimenopause, if you're in menopause, you go through a cycle. You go through a cycle.
The 4 seasons in a month.
4 seasons in a month. Like you go from the maiden, then you go, you like transition, and then
summer's the peak.
Like the peak, that's right before you ovulate. Then you ovulate and you become more mature, and then you become the crone, and then you come all the way back. And then we cycle like this every month, and then we cycle every year. Fall is here. I got married on Monday, the fall equinox, because since we were little girls, April, that has been our favorite. Daylight savings. I know some of you are going to be like, eye roll, they're lying, or they're weird. We love daylight savings.
Yes.
Saving came because I don't know, somewhere in our soul, even at 10, 11 years old, we knew New York was going to get a little bit more quiet. We knew that things were going to slow down just a little bit, right? And I want to, I don't know, Spirit's leading me to share this. It may shift the conversation a bit, but we could bring it back. This conversation about rest, and I love what your elder told you. It is about like just stopping and going within. Before I met my now husband, I was single for 5 years. And I became single at a time when, quote unquote, I should have been getting married. I became single at 33. I should have been getting married. I should have been having babies. And side note, I sit my mom down. I'm like, Mommy, I'm leaving. I can't take it. Can I move back? And she was like, of course you can. But you don't think if you have a baby by him, he'll change? And I was like, thankfully, Spirit led me not to follow that. So I'm single for 5 years and I try to date. And the first 2.5, 3 years were rough. If you've dated in New York City,
You kissed many frogs.
yes. To get to this,
Many frogs.
to this key. If you are dating in this political economic climate, if you are dating in a major city, legit, and you have half a consciousness,
Right.
my heart goes out to you. So I'm like fighting against the grain, right? When you were talking about drowning, it really it moved me because I almost drowned when I was a teenager and the lifeguards came in. And honestly, I give you my word, I was fighting against it. And something told me, like, I remember I called on San Miguel, I called on St. Michael, and I don't remember what happened. All I remember was the lifeguards coming to get me because I knew something told me just be. Right?
Wow.
So, I was like fighting against this. And something I learned through many spiritual elders was maybe this is a time for you to be by yourself.
Instead of dating.
Be by yourself. And for 18 months, I practiced abstinence. I didn't date. I didn't flirt. I had a whole dissertation to write. And I was sitting here like, God, where's my husband? Where is he? And mind you, there's a whole dissertation I have to write. I have consumer debt that's like mounting, and I'm sitting here and God was like, mind your business. Legit, Miguelina. The way you mind your business is going within. And when women come to me and they're like, can you give me advice? Women in particular, right? I'm contextualizing this. Women in heterosexual relationships. Can you give me advice? I've been dating for 6 years and it's so hard. And when I offer them the invitation of abstinence, of rest, they're like, girl. I'm like, Mommy, what you want me to tell you? You've done so much. You're being called to rest. But, capitalism does that. It teaches you that rest is wasting your time. So you rush and you take longer rushing.
Yeah. This is so profound. I have like 1.5 questions I want to ask.
We love it.
I guarantee that this is resonating. Let me see if I can just pull one. As someone who is not in a relationship right now, right? As someone who loves Black men, like loves Black men, loves when I was in a relationship, and 9 out of the 10 relationships I've had, I'm in communication with those men, right? Who are my dear friends, many of them. What do you think about the notion for those who are like not dating, have chosen abstinence, and have given up on dating or getting married, right, or anything of the sort? What do you think about the person, male or female for that matter, determining that maybe I wasn't sent here to be in a relationship? The reason I ask, and it's a wonky way of asking, I watched Cam Newton's podcast the other day that he had with Jason Wilson. Guys, help me out if I'm saying the guy's name wrong. But Cam Newton, who is, biblical and grew up, and I think his father or uncle or somebody is a pastor, and he was talking about why he's scared of marriage and kind of defending him not being married, but to his words, he's got 3 baby mamas. And then he started to kind of flex well, Jesus wasn't married. You know what I mean? As if to say, like, in a roundabout way, like bachelorhood is okay. You know, he wasn't married, right? He didn't choose that path. Um, as if to
Ain't Jesus though. Cam Newton ain't Jesus.
say it
Cam
again.
Newton, Cam Newton ain't Jesus.
Right. And he knew better. He knew better than to try that. But it was something along the lines of he was trying to use the fact that Jesus wasn't married, that
Yeah.
Jesus was a bachelor, right? And I'm paraphrasing, but the gentleman, I think his name is Jason Wilson, um, basically said that what he didn't come here for that.
It is Jason Wilson, April.
Okay, thank you, Aaron.
No problem.
He didn't come here to be married.
Yeah.
He came here to do some other spiritual work. So I say all of that to say, please, both of you, give me your feedback, your thoughts on those who may be looking for marriage or a good man or a good woman or a good whatever, and but maybe that isn't what they came here to do, to start a family, to be married. Maybe they came here to do something else and should just let that go. Do you understand what I'm asking?
Really? And the first download I got was sexual energy. Sexual energy. Okay, how is this related? I sense that for people that were sent here to do great things, things that may require a lot of energy, a long-term relationship or marriage may actually be a distraction, because sexual energy that's Kundalini, that's Shakti, that's actually creative primal energy, is the energy you use to birth this podcast. We use to birth Brujas of Brooklyn. Obviously, the highest manifestation of sexual energy is birthing a child. But
Right.
especially people with wombs, women, we use sexual energy to birth everything from an outfit to like a
Wow.
career path. So in
An
some
outfit, what? An outfit or a
to a career path, right?
okay.
I think my sister and I had to be creative to decide that we were going to turn this identity of being witches into a platform that now, in a sense, has a life of its own, beautifully so, to the point where you were put onto us without us even knowing, right? So
Right.
that speaks volumes. So I do feel like there are people that were sent here to do bigger things than, and not saying that being in a marriage or in a committed relationship is not big, but it's different. It's a different big, where maybe for people that were sent here to really leave a mark, that sexual energy could actually be used in more productive ways. And this is not saying, because this is nuance, because you cannot be married and not be in a long-term relationship and still get it on and still be having sex for the rest of your life. But I'm talking about people in particular who choose not to have sex unless they're partnered with somebody that they trust, instead of spreading to look at it almost like as a divine ordinance to use that sexual energy for other reasons. Because especially if you're having like casual sex, especially if you're having sex with someone that you don't know if they trust and love you equally, that sexual exchange could actually be depleting you as opposed to like reinvigorating you. I mean, Marvin Gaye talks about sexual healing for a reason. Like sex can be very healing, but when we're, especially as women, heterosexual women in particular, when we are expending that energy into another, but we're not receiving it back, you know, being Dominican, Caribbean, West Indian, we grew up knowing that like a woman that is not loved the way she deserves to be loved, whose cup is not being filled, it kind of like taints everything that she does, right? It messes with her self-esteem, it messes with her beauty, it messes with her career, with her ability to navigate life. So I'm thinking sexual energy.
That is, it's interesting how yin and yang we are, because I didn't go there, and that's beautiful that y'all get two relatively different answers. Where I went is like, sit with yourself in meditation, ask people around that trust you, that you trust and know you well, journal, pray, and ask God to reveal to you, is this a desire of mine? Like the desire to be in a relationship, to be married, whatever configuration is it that you're feeling. Is this ego because I'm supposed to be X, Y, and Z? Or is this like a real desire?
Like the programming.
Right, the programming, right? Or is this a real desire? I personally believe if you have a real burning desire that just will not go away, I trust that in divine time, the Most High will bring your desire to fruition, but you have to trust in that timing. Now, if you sit in the silence of yourself, in sacred silence, as Queen of Four taught us, and you're constantly being revealed. Like, for example, April, this is not your truth. This is not your desire. You want to travel the world. You want to continue to birth different podcasts, then making peace with that. But the decision at the end has to be yours. We're both lovers. Our Venus is in Libra. Like in the
And we're
chart,
Leos.
we're Leos. Our Venus is in Libra. It is like when we are in romantic love, we flourish in a different way. But being single for 5 years, from 35 to 38, I was tasked with like, so Miguel, how are you going to flourish being with yourself? And I learned. And then the creator sent me and aligned me with my now husband, but it couldn't happen a minute before because the type of love that I knew I wanted and deserved, because I was in an abusive relationship prior to that, God knew I had to like shed a lot and I had to vibrate higher. So my advice, if it's a true desire, if it is a true desire of yours, right, of anyone listening, is to trust in God's timing. Because I said something to my best friends. They had a bridal shower for me on Sunday. Is 25-year-old Miguelina would be pissed if I came from the future and I was like, hey, baby girl, we got married at 44. She would have been like, bitch, 44? Like 44? And not a second before, it happened exactly when it was supposed to, but it didn't happen on my time. So I think you got two different answers, and you take what works, discard the rest.
Yep. I think it's beautiful. And I'm listening for myself. I'm listening for audience members. I'm listening for women in particular who would never ask this question, but maybe they wanted some guidance, or they don't have a babalao or a iyanifa to guide them. I think that you all just dropped some bombs. I appreciate it. I'm trying not to make sure this is not a 3-hour conversation.
What's your sign, April?
I'm a Gemini.
And
you know what I love?
Master communicator.
Yes.
The communicator.
Yes. But also, and why I love not just the sign, but when I was born, because ever since I started to understand the concept of balance, I was like, wow, I am the epitome of balance, or at least striving, because I was born on June 15th. So as a child, you could not tell me that the middle month, the middle month and the 15th of that month, you couldn't tell me that my life wasn't going to be balanced. And then fast forward, I'm an initiate to Ifa, right? Which is the epitome. We Iwa Pele and balance, all those things are pillars, in this particular practice. So yes, I love when I was born. I love my life. I love my living. I'm loving this conversation. I want to remind everybody who's watching, we got a lot of people watching. Make sure you like this video. Like, the one way to keep these conversations alive, audience members, is for you to like, to subscribe. You hear it all the time, but people who have live streams and podcasts, we say it all the time because it really makes a difference. Oh, see, Jory McKee, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. Thank you for becoming a member. We got some more people that are definitely wanting to subscribe to this channel. Baby K, how are you? It's been a minute. Not only is Baby K like always down for Marc Lamont Hill official, but then she's donating $5. So we thank you. There's an opportunity for y'all to support this channel, to support this work, to support Ascending, Grand Rising from Oakland via Chile, South America.
Wow. Okay, it's early.
Wow. So I'm just loving this conversation. My producers tell me this all the time. Stop telling people we're not ending, but I just got to insert this. My producers are always like, stop telling people you got to come back, because they're like, we're going to have a year's worth of repeats. But I'm bucking the this is enriching, and I know people are getting a lot out of it. So make sure you like, subscribe, be in the comments, even after the show. So let's go. This is a perfect segue in a way to guys. Can you pull up the Sacred Rage? And there we go. When I saw this on your website, or it was no, keep it up.
I'm like equally proud and like embarrassed.
No,
but I'm
no
more
shade.
proud. I'm
No
more
shade.
proud. I'm more
Of course. Now let me say this. I'm gonna set you up, and then I'm gonna be quiet. When I first saw this, it triggered positively. If we use trigger as positive, right? I was like, yes. I didn't even know why. I just was like, yes, the vibe, the presentation, the energy around it, the middle finger up. I was like, that is so freaking real, right? And it wasn't until I went back to the website maybe a week or two or whatever later in prep for the show, I saw that you all ascribed a phrase to it, which is sacred rage. And I was like, that is the articulation.
Yes.
That is the articulation. Sacred rage, divine feminine energy, rage. I'm thinking of Oshun. I'm thinking of all of these things where, like, we get to be that, right? We get to be that. We get to say that because we are the most offended in so many different ways. So I'm going to shut up because I want you all to pour into the audience what this means to you all and why this is your favorite image as well.
I mean,
shout out to my husband, Idris Salomon. He took the picture. So I think, right, photography is a communication between the muse and the photographer because he captured something here. April, I know you're going to love this because the middle finger in numerology, but also our ancients, elders believe that the cosmos are mapped in our body, and your middle finger represents Saturn, which is the destroyer. It represents chaos, right? But Saturn also represents, like, think of the Sith, like what the Grim Reaper holds. That's like a tool of agriculture to cut down weeds. That is what Saturn represents. So historically, I would love to know the history of how the middle finger became offensive, because there's a science to it.
In the U.S., it became offensive.
It's like there's a science. Like it's like we're destroying you. But I think when I see this picture, I get chills because the apple in the mouth is like an ode to that biblical story that women are cursed with the fall of Eve, that we're blamed for the fall of mankind because we seduced Adam into eating the apple. And I love the picture because it gives women, Black women, permission to be pissed the fuck off. Because a lot of times that's what keeps us unwell. Because when we were listening to the episode for Ascending that Danette Bean was on, the doctor of Eastern medicine, where she was talking about fibroids. And she said that fibroids are rooted in emotional instability, and fibroids are a fire, they're inflammation, and fire is associated with anger. So Black women, historically, we've swallowed a lot of anger because not only have we been systemically and physically assaulted, but then we're not given permission to be, because if we do, then it's like, oh, here they go. Here they go. So I think I love this picture. I mean, it's Miga. Miga's the one biting the apple. It's
okay.
And of course, I feel like, first of all, this picture was organic. This was a photo shoot we did in like 2016, 2018. And there was something in my hair. And the original picture, I'm like holding the apple out, right? So then she's getting something in my hair and I'm like being silly, Aries moon. And I put the apple in my mouth and I just do this and he just snapped. This wasn't like, oh, hold it.
It wasn't curated. You didn't necessarily.
No.
What?
Like taking something out of my hair. If you look at
this is in between takes.
In between takes.
Yeah.
If you look at the middle finger, I have my aunt in the middle.
Yes.
Aunt ring. So it's such a great picture. We were telling April backstage before the show, this picture has been banned across different platforms. I tried one time to start an ad because we used it to advertise these 40-day virtual spiritual journeys Griselda and I host, and it was like, no, offensive. And I was like, yeah, that's good. A picture was banned because it's sending a message. And I think, for Dominicans, in Dominican Spanish, side note, Dominicans, we speak Spanish, but it's almost like a patois where our Spanish is not like Mexican Spanish or Argentinian Spanish. We have a word, we say malcriada, which is malcriada, which is poorly raised. It translates into poorly, like you were poorly raised. Calling a woman malcriada is like, it's supposed to be so offensive, but our generation, we're flipping it on its head. So I see this picture and I see malcriada. I see someone that's like bucking the system, bucking expectations. Like, I love that phrase, like, I did not come from Adam's rib, Adam came from my womb. And it's just an embodiment of reclaiming all this power that was taken from us, specifically through Christianity. We were raised, as witchy as our family is and was, we were raised Catholic. We did our sacraments, we were baptized. Our mom, she still is super duper Catholic. And because of that, my sister and I, not only have we had to break away from a lot of societal pressures, a lot of Catholic guilt. A lot of Catholic guilt on what a woman is supposed to do and how they're supposed to behave. So I love this picture. I love that Grizz is playing in my hair. I love that I'm like, taking a bite of this apple and that middle finger, right? That rebirth, because this is destruction, but it's also rebirth.
Yeah.
So I thank you for this picture.
We thank you. We thank you for the picture for sure. I see in it as well. I am my sister's keeper, as well. Like at any given point, it could have been reversed, right? Like the rage, the apple, it could connote that that person is doing the work while being attended to and taken care of by the tending to the hair and all of that, and then at any moment it could be reversed. Like it's just so pregnant, pun intended, right? It's just so so pregnant with interpretation. But I thank you for that insight. I hope y'all frame it.
Now I am gonna frame it.
But also, there's got to be an artist out there that convert this to an oil painting. That would be dope as well.
Like this one. This was a follower of ours.
That one. Tell us about that one.
So this is Ayana, forgive us. She's a Latina painter, and one of my husband's good friends, that is now my good friend Pam. Shout outs to you, Pam, if you're watching. She gifted this to us for our birthday. So
it's based on a picture.
It's an actual picture that was taken. And like, it is beautiful on screen, but in person, like it is absolutely amazing, and we're humbled.
I think, and I know you know this, April, in your path of Ifa, like Ibeyi are and Orisha, right? They're the sacred twins.
Yes.
And identical twins also, there's fraternal identical. Identical is when we split, one egg splits. Fraternal is two eggs inseminated. Identical twins have historically been upheld in high regard because it's almost like a miracle of nature. Like, how could God make one egg and make two full human beings out of it? So I think we don't take that lightly. We were not supposed to be birthed for many reasons. It was a complicated birth. So we always, give credence and honor to people that, do things like this, because they're also invoking that Ibeyi magic when she's that.
Yeah, I love it. And you all have such playful energy as well. that I love. And I know I'm no expert on the deity Ibeji, but I believe it is accurate. And I'm sure there's some Orisha practitioners in the chat that will correct me. But the oldest one, we often think that the oldest one from identical birth is the first one. We often think the one to come out first from the womb is the oldest. There's another way that says the oldest is actually the one that pushed the first one out.
Go see, make sure it's good enough for me.
Exactly. So you all know that energy. So who was the first one to come out? Okay, so there's a view that says you're the youngest.
That would be so interesting, because I think because I'm the oldest, and Miguel was also born with a heart murmur, so there was a lot of like, she needed to be tended to throughout most of like our childhood. So being the oldest, that was projected onto me to the point where like throughout our relationship, I can sometimes come off as like the big sister. So it will be really interesting to see now in mid-age, if these tables turn, what it will be like for me to walk in the presence and the identity of being a younger sister.
Right. Have you all seen, I didn't even think of this until this moment, right? But there's a it's on one of the streaming platforms, Netflix. What, I think it was Netflix.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying?
that were
The no, they were in Britain or England, and like in the 70s, these twins, black little girls, but in England. And when I tell you, oh my God, guys, Kevin and Aaron, if you could just look it up. It's based on a true story. But when I tell you the phenomena of twinship, if that's a word, that was depicted in that it wasn't a documentary, it was a film. But my point is to say, those two human beings were so connected. That, like, it was a journey, a look into their lives, that they created their own language. Number one, from when they were little girls, they created their own language. Their bond was undeniable, but then they fought so much. And as they got older, the fighting became more like mean, more mean, but they couldn't live without each other. Right, so they were placed in asylums. And oh man, I'm messing it up. But when one died, it was amazing that the other ones continued to live. They were so connected, and the phenomena and the magic that only twins can understand. The way that they were connected energetically, and it would show up in speech. They created their own world, from little girls to teenage to adulthood, and for whatever reason, one of them decided that they just had to leave the earth. And
it's on the screen banner. It's on the banners. The Silent Twins.
The Silent Twin. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, Twin World is profound. Those two aunts, the twin pair aunts that we had, may they rest in peace. They died a year apart in the same month.
Okay.
Like almost to the date. Like one died in 2018. The other one died in 2019. The twin thing is real. Like we show up to events, to family gatherings, never dressed exactly alike, but almost always complimenting. I'm often
unbeknownst to the other person.
No. And people swear, oh, you knew. And then like our husbands now, they look at people and they're like, no, this is like
our apartments without, like, not intentional. Our apartments look the same. Like the structure, the setup.
I mean, even happy moments, but even tragic moments. Griselda shared earlier that she experienced pregnancy loss, trigger warning via an ectopic pregnancy. And a month later, I experienced an ectopic pregnancy. And when we were younger, I was usually the sickly one, but like if my mom took me to the clinic, we had a pediatrician for a very long time. And my mom will be like, well, the other one. And the doctor will give her 2 prescriptions for the same medication, because inevitably we would get sick one after the other. And it wasn't only because we were sharing, physical space. It's more of a spiritual thing. Baby pictures of us, we're like infants and we're holding hands. Right. But then we like, the 2 twins in the doc, we did fight a lot as children, like physically, but thank God that we evolved from that. And we're now like, we bicker and we argue like siblings, but we have a lot of respect for each other.
Yes.
It makes me sad whenever I hear like siblings are feuding and they're not talking. And I got to respect it, because some people deserve to be cut off because they're super toxic. But for me, it weighs heavier when I know they're twins. When I'm like, you don't speak to your twin.
Because that bond is life-saving. I mean, we have a business, we have a platform. And I think when you asked earlier in the segment about the dark night of the soul, like about silence and rest, we have each other, where, the way life works, thank God we're rarely both in like the pit of things. Like I'll be in the pit and she'll be on the top helping me out. And then it feels like when she feels the energy, right?
Yeah.
Shout out to twins.
And it's a beautiful magical bond. And the thing I do love, and shout outs to Mami Papi, our father passed away when we were 16. My father named her, my mother named me. So, our names being different is also very important, because we've also worked very hard to individuate. Like, we've both been in traditional Western therapy, where we've worked really hard to understand that, like, we need to be individuals. We could still be very close. We can still be twins, but there have to be boundaries. Many. They can't be too many, because we have to be in each other's lives, and our husbands know that, our friends know that. So shout out to the twins. Shout outs to parents of twins.
Yes. Yes.
Single mothers like ours. I'm like, how did you do it? I don't know how my mother did it.
Yeah, amazing. Oh my gosh. We're going to get to the comments before you go, but you all do or have done or will be doing or about to do workshops. Can we talk about that before we go to the comments?
Yes. So most of our work now is virtual post-pandemic, because it seems to attract like a lot of people. And so the virtual workshops, our keystone, our flagship, if you will, is these 40-day practices where we'll prescribe like a certain meditation, whether it's sitting, chanting, doing something with your hands. And as a collective, we do it on your own time every day for 40 days. And there are 102 people on the journey with us now, and we're on day 6. So you have to hold, like, this is Jupiter. You have to hold Jupiter up like this for up to 11 minutes, and then breathe in like this. There's a science to it, but like, it's supposed to cool anger, because this practice, we're calling it righteous rage. We didn't coin righteous rage. That's something that it was like in the collective consciousness. I don't know who it is, but we didn't coin it. We're using it. But this practice that we're on day 6 is that curled tongue in the science of breath, which is pranayama. It helps to cool the liver, because every organ vibrates at a frequency associated with a major emotion, and liver vibrates at the same frequency as anger, and the lungs as grief, and your intestines as worry. So when you breathe through a curled tongue, it cools the breath, and it cools the fire that anger creates in. It's so profound. And then we have live workshops.
We do have live workshops. We don't have anything planned.
Oh, lectures on tap.
Oh, yes, which is sold out. But we have lectures on tap. It's a beautiful movement where a pair, a husband and wife, decided, what if we bring college professors, right? This is the yin and the yang. That was like the divine feminine spiritual aspect of Brujas of Brooklyn. The divine masculine academic aspect is this movement was started by this husband and wife. What if we bring college professors to bars to talk about their expertise? So we did one in April about a class that Griselda actually created within the City University of New York. It's called Decolonizing the Witch. So we gave a talk in April. And they invited us back. And on October 29th, you may be able to join the wait list. It's called Lectures on Tap, and it's a bar. It's going to be held at a bar in New York, in Williamsburg. And
literally a live event, face to face. I hear you.
Like when you sign up, you get a drink ticket. You buy a drink, and you hear us like talk about our expertise. So it is on Decolonizing Witch, and we want to work on more in-person events. So what we could conjure up. We also host parties. That's something we started to do, where like every holiday season in December for the
mature parties.
Yep. There's places to sit. It's loud, but not too loud. Sensible for women over 40, people over 40. And we like curated where we hire DJs that are a little older as well, and play music that, it's of our generation. We were born on the Lower East Side, and we were raised with a large family, and 2 of our cousins are like our siblings, but they're 5 and 7 years older. Our brother is 16 years older. So because of that, Griselda and I also have like a mature sensibility. We love disco. We love old school. I
love disco.
How do you know this? Like people.
Ladies night. When ladies night comes out, because this is ladies night, baby. I'm on the dance floor. Yeah, we love disco.
So those parties, there's disco, there's like freestyle, there's New York City house, there's Chicago house, and like People that go there legit like, oh my God, I forgot what time it was. I forgot that I was 47, that I was 52. I can't get off. And I think we're going to continue this. We have something going.
Yeah. Joy,
I love
right?
it.
Joy,
I love it.
joy is our ultimate form of resistance. That's what we say. We must. Y'all, those that are tuned in, we must. We cannot let this beast consume us. We're here because our ancestors survived atrocious things. So we might as well be joyous, because we do a disservice to them if we have access to so many resources and we get consumed and like what's not working. We know it's not working.
And then somebody asked earlier, they asked us a question about regulating the nervous system during these really tough times. That's part of it, right?
Yeah,
I think
joy.
it's working through the guilt that leads you to believe that if you cultivate joy, if you're happy. I remember in like 2023, somebody tried to comfort me because I was posting about my Christmas tree. I was like, ma'am, if you don't get the F up off my page, it's like, how can you be so joyous when Palestine and Gaza and the Congo? And I'm like, I understand that. And like, I teach about this. I pray on this. I teach my students. We use our platform to talk about it. And I'm going to be basic and put up a Christmas tree with my ornaments. Like,
Right.
about creating that joy.
And you might be doing, you're doing more work in all of your teaching and your educating and you're demonstrating balance, right? Than all of those people who are just criticizing.
Yeah.
All up in the comments and ain't doing a goddamn thing.
The keyboard warriors.
Because listen, there's nothing I enjoy most than the Real Housewives of Potomac. Listen, the Green Eyed Bandits, don't play with me. I will sit there and watch because I have to learn. Me and my
side note, and when people learn this about us, like I remember years ago, I don't anymore. I used to love watching the Kardashians. People will be like, the Jersey Shore, Jersey Shore. Me and my mama, our mama don't speak a lick of English, and she would like, "Ponme show con lo loco." Put the show with the like. We would be watching Jersey Shore. People will be like,
It's balance. It's balance.
Yeah.
It's balance.
Yeah, Mark talks about that too, because people be coming for him. The fact that he's even on the Joe Budden podcast. Like, why are you wasting your time with all of those flat earthers? And like, people be coming for him because he didn't just start watching or liking the Joe Budden podcast. He's been watching it for years. But why not be there? You know what I mean? Why not enjoy other things? Like, are we not multifaceted human beings? You know what I mean? Oh, Julia says their parties are amazing.
Julie and her sister, the last ones. It'd be like I call us the misfits. Like the lights are on and we're still partying, and then we'll go outside and we'll continue the party. We're party girls, and I'll be honest. And I share that before. I used to be like, oh my God, I'm not gonna say that. We love to party. We went to a party school and we were scholars, graduated with honors.
Love, yes.
It's important.
You must, because they win. Whoever they are in your life, they win when you do not cultivate joy.
Yeah, that part right there. And Asada teaches us that, as well. Oh man, I could go on. So wait, I don't want you all to go anywhere, but I want to go to the comments. We have some comments that are starred that I want to highlight because I know some of these comments are for you. So we have Jory who subscribed. There should be more subscribers to this channel. I'm just saying that. I'm just saying right now.
Right.
Oh wait, before we go to the comments, guys, can we put up their website? The banner that has their website, which is brujasofbrooklyn.com. We have a banner that says that. So when the guys get that banner on the screen, then we can go to some of the questions. There we go. So Baby K says, I would like to ask the doctors if they have any tips for our nervous systems while we are under such extreme attacks. So Baby K, thank you for being who you are on the Marc Lamont Hill official and for your donation of $5 to this channel. And then the question is for you, ladies.
Thank you for the question. Miga touched on it a little bit with the idea of joy, and joy can mean whatever, right? I think also learning how to take breaks from the news, consuming the news with intention, like literally taking a breath, watching it, going on your app, whatever you do, but ensuring that the news is not playing as background noise, which a lot of people actually tend to do unconsciously.
Yes.
I think nature with the nervous system, right? The parasympathetic, which is the part of the nervous system we want activated, that cools the fire of stress and reduces the hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. Nature,
Yeah.
grass, trees, the ocean. And Eastern medicine teaches that one of the quickest ways to balance and calibrate the nervous system, which is bringing back to center, is to be in nature, but in a way where nature overpowers you, right? Like in the ocean is the best, the easiest for New Yorkers. Take the train, drive to the beach. The
Yes.
ocean, a lake, a mountain, deep in the forest bathing, nature. Please, if you live in an urban jungle like New York City, I hug a lot of trees. I used to be embarrassed of it when I was younger, but you could just hug a tree or stand on it. Make sure you're making contact with it, because
Yeah.
the frequency at which trees vibrate, they're one of the oldest living beings that we have access to. It almost like mutes the high erratic vibration that our nervous systems may be vibrating at because of the chaos.
No, that
Yeah.
was beautiful. Like I'm very big. He has taught me specifically going to the ocean and just screaming into the ocean. You know, when we experienced the pregnancy losses, just going to the ocean and like crying into her, and also giving thanks, bringing something. We always bring something.
Absolutely.
Ocean. I think for me is this is what I do personally, and I'm offering it as an invitation. My mornings have to look a specific way. Like my mornings have to be slow. The warm cup of water, you know, some sort of meditation, even if it's 2 minutes, if it's 20 minutes, great. If it's 2 minutes, great as well. Really slowing down, not grabbing my phone first thing and like reading news. And obviously I have those days, of course, but most days I really try to be intentional, because the way you start your day, it really sets the tone for the rest of your day. This is a time where, as warriors and warrioresses, we need to be full. We need to give from an overflowing place. And the way that looks is resting.
Yes.
Trying to get as much rest as possible. Again, shout outs to the nap ministry, napping. Maybe if you're going to watch the news and engage with the news, balance that out by watching like Real Housewives of Potomac, watching like a rom-com, something that's going to be lighthearted, because it cannot be the news and the Citizen app and all day, every day.
That's a lack of balance. If one does that, it's a lack of balance. And Sonia Sanchez, who is our great mother, when she was on the show, she taught us that there are there's this chorus of people who will do this all day.
All day.
Like they see you, you know, with a Christmas tree. Or my favorite TV show, Real Talk, one of is Everybody Loves Raymond. You know what I mean? Like
I'm watching. No, sorry, I'm watching Breaking Bad. It was Malcolm in the Middle, not the same, but
okay, right. But we all have that thing, right? So the point that I'm trying to make is that balance is really important. And I was gonna say about the nature, like those are, like you said, those are natural beings. So nature, the water, the tree, the grass, the herbs, the plants, they might be trying to tell you something, you know, as well. What did Fela teach us? Water has no enemy.
yes,
You know what I mean? So starting off the water, maybe starting off the morning with a glass of water. But let me ask you this, because this is something I do. I want to tap into your wisdom. I find it to be the waking up, starting slow, giving thanks before I even put my feet on the floor. I count my blessings. Not that I could ever finish, but I start the minute my eyes open. My I would love feedback on, but that's how I close the day as well. I always say there's a difference between falling asleep and going to bed. So I make a routine about going to bed as well. You know what I mean? I used to have the phone in the bed with me, so in case I wake up, you know what I mean? But now I literally, one way to do it is to cut the computer off, like literally turn it off.
Yeah.
As a symbolic way of I am disconnecting and unplugging. I love for you all to weigh on that. Do you have a closing out the day routine yourselves, or?
Greece, definitely. My sister goes to bed at like 8:30.
That's late.
I love it.
I go to sleep before my son. My son's 11. He has a 9:30 bedtime, and sometimes I'll go to sleep before him. And if dad's not around, I'll put an alarm to make sure that he's in bed. But I love that gratitude shifts your attitude. When you're feeling down, when you're feeling funky, there's like, of course, now the stuff that our elders have been known. Now allopathic Western science is catching up. There's now evidence through MRI scans of the brain, writing what you're grateful for.
Yes.
It activates like the I think it's the mammalian brain, like the back part, the oldest part of the brain, which helps to shut off the executive functioning, which is what keeps us like on. So it actually helps to calm you. But writing, it's the act of writing what you're
Writing. Yes.
It's a
spell. Like Erica Badu said, they call it spelling. It's a spell. Yes, gratitude. And it before sleep, when you wake up, when I'm on the train, when I'm feeling really, really sad, more than Miguel, depression tends to, since I'm like 14, 15, is always like at my ankles. So I have to be very wary, because for the listeners, which statistically there are a lot of folks that depression sometimes has the grip on your neck. We have to be even hyper vigilant about when we get the symptoms that depression wants to come on. And to me, the first one is gratitude. Oh, let's go, Giddy.
And The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron.
Yes. Oh my God, I just spoke about that book yesterday.
Because we're here.
that book.
It is a wonderful book. I remember when I first got it several years ago, I got to page 7 and I had to stop. Like the tears, which I was like, who is this woman? Right. And let me be honest before we go back to the comments, because you all are helping me to pull out because I'm guarded. Right. But you all are like, nah, that's the vibe I'm getting. When I first got that book, I was mad. I don't feel this way now, but I was mad that it was written by a white woman.
We've been there. Yeah, we've been there.
Because I'm like, this is so, some of it's universal. Like the themes in there are universal. But at that particular state of mind, I just felt that I had an overarching blanket, not fair view of white women, right? Yeah. And I felt some kind of way that I was being so opened up by a white woman, right? I was so used to being poured into by my mother and my aunts and and all of my mothers besides my blood mother, right? I couldn't process that I was being opened up and crying and felt so free with all of the universal truths, right? As my Baba says, that I was resentful. I was resentful. I was like, where's the Black woman? You know, that could write that. I'm not there now, right? Because I recognize that righteousness shows up in a variety of human bodies, right? And sometimes it could be a white woman, and that's okay. But I've never said that out loud before, because I'm like, wow, I felt like I was going to be judged.
It's not in your body anymore. You know, I'm currently teaching a class called Race and Racism, and I teach Pedagogy of the Oppressed and a host of other books. But one thing that I teach and that I learned and now I teach to students is that systemic racism hurts everybody. Even we know what it does to Black people, from like the quality of food we have to the quality of healthcare to literally what stress, the fear of our sons being, murked by like police, or like the fear of just whatever happening, of being deported, right? That even your example is great in that it keeps us guarded to the point where like it's hard sometimes to receive medicine from white people, and that's deep. It's understood. We grew up coming from people who were extremely abused in the hands of white people. So I think for us, my brother marrying a white woman over 20 years ago, and now us having a niece and nephew, I think that has helped us to like put the guards down. And to be honest, it was the first time in my late teens, early 20s, it was the first time we ever had like intimate contact with white people.
Yeah.
Honest.
Yeah.
think that it does, we become dehumanized. We are systemically dehumanized as Black people, but then sometimes unknowingly, we fend, we protect ourselves, and then that dehumanizes white folks. So yeah, I'm happy that you shared that. It's not in your body anymore.
But then speaking
Out of my body.
another white author, right, Eckhart Tolle, a white man in the New Earth, he teaches that this is the New Earth. You allowing a white woman to metaphysically open you up and have you so vulnerable, that's part of the New Earth. And it's beautiful to watch. It's also very painful to embody. It's painful to navigate. So, kudos to you. And thank you for sharing that for the first time.
Yeah. I'll add on it. Oh my gosh. I'll be brief. As an initiate of Oshun in Oshogbo, when I learned that Iya Adini, a white woman from Austria, was in Oshogbo, Nigeria, that helped, not that she was the only, not that she was the first, but this white woman from Austria moved to Nigeria. What was it, the 50s and 60s, maybe 70s, but she was a pioneering figure in saving the Oshogbo Grove and helping and support the part of the support mechanism that helped the indigenous people of Oshogbo revisit their shrines, the ancient shrine, quote unquote, ancient shrines. And I couldn't figure that out. I was like, did it take a white woman from Austria to come and help make Oshogbo and to ring the alarm, to ring Aja Oshun, to get the Oshogbo Grove to be recognized by UNESCO? Like, where were we, right? And of course we were there, but she was on a mission. But it took me a minute. I was like, so I am a part of a tradition that only the white woman could help save? Like, it just
that's allyship. That's what allyship really looks like. And I love the question, like, but where were we, right? It's also systemically being not spiritually being disempowered, but systemically being disempowered. This white woman has a level of power, and that's what allyship looks like. You use it to uplift people that have been oppressed, and keeping it real that you and your kind have oppressed. So you go back and like you uplift it, and then hopefully she did it in a way where it was respectful and it paid homage.
Absolutely. And at some point, one gets to the point where you're not focusing on the physical shell.
Yeah.
Right? You're focusing on, if one is deeply committed to whatever the practice is, wherever it is in the world, to what that energy brings, and not getting in the way of what that mission is. To your point, if it's respectful, if it's honorable, and if it's inclusive, and all of the things that it needs to be. When you recognize that, oh, that's what it is, then you recognize that happens to be like, because Oshun is bigger than capitalism, and is bigger than imperialism, is bigger than all of those isms that humans have created. So if we really want to be aligned, right, with these universal spiritual divine entities, then we have to look beyond the human shell. Anyway, sorry, I just had to go there. Let's go back to some of the comments, if we may. I think we had some questions. We had Layla says, thank you to all. I'm tapped in. Happy to be listening this morning, which is now the afternoon. Oh, you know her. This is Fam. Yeah?
No. It's funny. She looks like our childhood best friend. First of all, you look just like our childhood best friend. But no, we don't know her. Now we
Okay, we have Julia, who says yoga allows us to surrender and rest. And I do this for those who are listening and not watching. Sometimes we have that, going on. Rolando's in the house. We saw him. And let's see.
Julie sharing yin yoga. Yin is such a beautiful practice.
Are you discussing Ifa?
Okay, so good. Are you reading this one? It says, good morning, everyone. Glad I can finally leave a comment in the comment section. Watching from California, just tuned in. Are you discussing Ifa or Orisha worship? That has been a part of the conversation. I, as an Ifa initiate, and as
not ordained. We're not ordained priestesses.
Yeah.
Our
They are,
lineage
I
is,
am.
yeah, our lineage is Haitian Vodun. If it's something that we're called to do, that's the lineage we come from.
which
Yes.
originated in Benin, today's Benin.
Yeah.
Benin and West Africa. Yes. Thank you for that clarity. So just so the audience can be clear, I'm an initiate. They are not, and it doesn't matter. Black men investing. I love the energy and how connected they are to each other. Yes. Our friend Morris, Dr. Mored says, rest in peace. You know, I guess I got to end because I want to show the video. I know my producers are like, April, we love you, but could you stop talking? They don't want y'all to stop talking. They want me to stop talking. I because we are still dealing with the everlasting life of Asada Shakur, whose physical form has transitioned or is transitioning to the spiritual realm. I wanted to show the video that Marc did last night, you know, where he gave some insight. It's 24 minutes. We're going to close out on that. But first, my dear sisters, tell us your ascending moment. You all have watched the shows. You know that we give the artist the last word. Let me see. I just want to make sure. This is someone that says, damn, I remember taking Dr. Gree during undergrad at CCNY.
Whoever you are, Analogy Nature, thank you.
Yes. I had to do that for one of your students showing up. So we praise your scholarship, your decisions. We thank you for giving a damn. And on that note, can each of you give us an ascending moment, that breakthrough moment? Even if you already said it earlier, you can bring it back. But that's how we close out. And then we're going to go into the tribute to Asada from our beloved Marc Lamont Hill. So
And a second moment during our conversation, or just
in general, it could be a recap of what you said earlier because it's so profound. It could be in your life, but leave us with some parting words about your breakthrough moment. Yeah, in your career or your personal life.
So a breakthrough moment for me was the moment my child was birthed in an inflatable tub in my kitchen in Ridgewood, Queens, 11 years ago. It changed my life forever, but particularly because I chose to give birth to him at home. I did it my way. I'm also a doula, which I didn't speak on. And there's a maternal health crisis in the United States. Racism is a humongous risk factor for Black women that are choosing to give birth in hospitals. So I encourage those that are listening to please consider getting a doula if you are expecting. But that was an ascending moment to me because at that moment, I felt like I reclaimed so much ancestral power for myself and my community because I gave myself the opportunity to show myself that I could. And I gave my son the opportunity to be birthed, surrounded by so much love. So that was my ascending moment.
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
Yes,
it changed all of us. I mean, it's like I can't imagine life without him and just being there, right? It was like family around. So thank you for that. It's funny, I thought about this yesterday and my ascending moment has since changed. And it's very aligned. My ascending moment was like I started the conversation today reading Asada's autobiography. There was a particular, you know, I read it 22 years ago. So there's chunks that I obviously don't remember. But there's a moment where I remember when after she's arrested for, you know, supposedly, you know, the situation with the New Jersey State, what is it? The trooper.
Yeah.
And she's like, I wake up and I'm chained to a bed. She's like, I wake up in the hospital. I'm chained to a bed. There's 4 police officers around me. And one of them has a gun, like pointing at me, like kind of like on guard. First of all, I remember being like, I'll be honest, was that true? Oh my God. Like, could people be capable of that? Mind you, I'm only 21. I just graduated college. And I remember being moved because I was like, oh my God, even through all of that, this woman still showed up. Asada still showed up with so much light. Her smile alone was enough. We never met her in person. I watched many videos. It was enough that so many moments could have broken her. So my ascending moment is that, the book, that particular excerpt, but it's the reminder when I see people that have been beaten down by life, by the system, and yet joy is still like it resonates, it like radiates from them. So I give thanks to Asada Shakur. May her soul rest in power. It was legitimately a book that shifted my perspective. And that was my ascending moment.
That is powerful. Many of us in the movement and this activist work, we quote the autobiography of Malcolm X and Asada Shakur, a biography, autobiography, as the thing that is like must read, right? And must read because it's gonna ground you ideologically, and it's gonna be food for the rest of your life. To your point, Asada's autobiography is food for the rest of our lives. I don't know. I always say my grandmother doesn't. I take after my grandmother. She doesn't say goodbyes long.
So, see you later.
Yes, we appreciate you deeply. I could not be happier. What a way to start this next season, that we're in our environment in the world. Thank you so much. My heart just wants everything good for you. Whatever's yours to have, may you have it. You and your families.
Yes,
Thank you so much.
May that be returned to you sevenfold. God bless you, your team, the podcast. May a lot of abundance be sprinkled onto it. And subscribe, y'all, please.
Yeah. I receive it lovingly. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Family, we are going to do one good news report, and then we're going to go to the video. Our good news report is about the Byron Hurt film series, Soul Food Junkie. Speaking about transformation, the next coming screening this Thursday is Soul Food Junkies, Thursday, October 2nd, 7 p.m. Follow Byron Hurt on all social media. That's how you can get tickets to purchase. And it's a film series and a fundraiser. For those who are watching, you should be in the comments. Yes, but even like we always say, you can watch now or you can watch later, but be in the comments. Let YouTube know that this should show up in everybody's feed automatically, not just Ascending, but Marc Lamont Hill official. So guys, I think, thank you. Yes, follow me on social media as well. But guys, I want to close out very gently by letting the video play. I encourage everybody to stay on and watch. Mark does an excellent job of giving Asada Shakur her flowers. Guys, can we do that now? Can we have a hard, I need a hard audible. Can we go there now, or did I forget anything major?
No. Okay, we're going in it.
Okay. All right, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Is different. Today we are going to reflect and think about the life and the death of Asada Shakur. For those that don't know, Asada Shakur passed away yesterday, Thursday, in Cuba at the age of 78. Asada Shakur was an activist, an organizer, a mother, a writer, a revolutionary, show enough revolutionary. She was born in New York City. She was raised in New York as well as North Carolina, Wilmington. She came of consciousness at a fairly young age. She eventually joined the Black Panther Party. She also was a member of the Black Liberation Army. She spent most of her life, fighting against white supremacy, fighting against social injustice, fighting for Black liberation, and waging war against white supremacy, waging war against injustice, not just at the national level, but at the international level. Asada's story is such a powerful one, and I encourage, and I'm going to say this a few times tonight, I encourage everyone to read the book Asada, and I'll pull it up for y'all. I want you to read Asada. Asada is one of those books, man. It's one of them ones. I don't think your life will be complete if you don't read it. And I'm not being hyperbolic. I'm not being dramatic. I'm not saying this today for the first time. I say it all the time because it's true. And so tonight I want to talk a little bit about Assata. I want to talk about what she meant. I want to talk about why it's important to think about her legacy. I want to talk about what that legacy absolutely was. Again, she was born in New York. She was born in Queens. Grew up in the city. Grew up in New York. Spent time in a few places, but like a lot of people of Assata's age, remember Assata's born in 1947. In the 60s, she became, and I mean this in the best sense of the term, radicalized. She became involved in campus activism. She went to BMCC, part of the CUNY system, Borough of Manhattan Community College. She also was at City College, and she got engaged in activism. She met folk there. She moved with people. She began to understand the political lines of the day. She began to understand the Black nationalist agenda. She began to have critiques of capitalism. She began to really read deeply. Assata joined the Black Panther. She was out in Oakland for a bit, joined the Black Panther Party. Didn't stay long. She talks about in her autobiography why. I'll get into that in a moment. But she eventually became part of the Black Liberation Army, the BLA, which in many ways was the vanguard, and because of her participation in the BLA, she became a target. She wasn't the only person who became a target. So many Black people during the time, in fact, any Black person who was involved in Black liberation was a target for the government's counterintelligence program, or COINTELPRO. So Assata Shakur, who was born Joanne Chesimard and became Assata, she became Assata around 1971, maybe 1971-ish, while part of the campus activist movements. Anyway, during that time, the government counterintelligence program honed in on her. They targeted her, and part of how the government targets you for the counterintelligence program is by railroading you, by lying on you, by framing you for things you didn't do. She was accused of bank robbery. She was accused of kidnapping. She was accused of all of these different crimes, which were designed to derail her. Now, mind you, the COINTELPRO wasn't just framing people; they were infiltrating organizations. They were organizing executions. They were doing all sorts of stuff to dismantle the movement. But they had a specific focus on the BLA, and so one night in 1973. She was arrested. Now, mind you, from in the early 70s, 71, 72, 73, she was charged with lots of stuff they were looking for. And at some point, she was on the run. And we see in Angela Davis's autobiography and other autobiographies being on the run while innocent, although being targeted by the state and deemed guilty was not uncommon. But Assata was on the run. There was a manhunt for her, or a woman hunt for her. They were looking for her. And in 1973, while on the turnpike, she was pulled over. She and Sundiata Akoli and a brother named Zaid Malik Shakur, they were both in the car with her. They pulled her over. The police officers drew their weapons, and there was a firefight at some point. During this firefight, police officer James Harper was wounded, and the other one, Werner Forster, was killed. Based on all the evidence I've seen, they were not killed by the BLA members. They may have been killed through friendly fire by themselves. But of course, according to the law, if someone dies in these circumstances, the so-called criminal is going to be charged for the murder. But they said that Assata Shakur pulled the trigger and that she shot Werner Forster. Now, again, you have to read all the evidence. And in fact, Assata's aunt, before she passed away, but she rests in peace as well. I'm looking for the book, so I'm looking this way. I have it here. I just have to grab it in a moment. She demonstrated in thorough fashion why that wasn't true. But also, Assata had no use of her right arm. She couldn't have shot the gun because she couldn't lift her arm. When she was brought in police custody, she still couldn't lift her arm. It took a very long time for her to even be able to regain use of her arm, which they thought would never happen. So please believe me when I tell you she didn't do this crime. But they arrested her for it. They charged her for murder. They charged her for attempted murder. They charged her for a bunch of stuff, a bunch of crimes, and most of those crimes she was acquitted for. She was acquitted for three. Three got dismissed, but obviously the most serious charge was the charge of murder on Officer Forster, the state trooper. And it was a kangaroo court, and she was sentenced to murder to life in prison. While she was serving her sentence in Clinton Correctional Facility, she eventually was liberated from the prison. As time goes on, we're able to say more about that, but she was liberated in 1979 by members of the BLA. She was and others, the May 19 movement, others. Our dear brother, who is now an ancestor, Sekou Odinga, was one of the people who was convicted of participating in her escape. Sekou spent decades in prison before he was released, maybe 10 years ago now. Time runs by, but he passed away this past year. I knew him well. He was a friend. He was a comrade. He was an elder. May he rest in peace as well. But he liberated Assata. And he was not alone. While in prison, of course, she had a baby with Zaid Shakur, her beautiful daughter, Kakuya, who now is an adult, a very grown adult, and sending her peace, love, and blessings as well. Assata was put in a men's prison. First woman to be put in a men's prison. First woman to be on the FBI most wanted terrorist list, as Joanne Chesimard. And people have been looking for her for a very long time. She ended up in Cuba in 1984. She was given political asylum. The Cuban government protected her throughout the 90s, for sure. The U.S. government intensified its search for her. Governor Ridge, I believe it was at the time, started looking for her, put out like a warrant for her arrest. They were asking bounty hunters and soldiers of fortune to come get her. I mean, they basically were putting a price on her head. They weren't really trying to bring her to justice. They were trying to kill her. And over that time, Assata became very active in Cuba, very active in politics, and very active in drawing connections with the U.S. movements. When we saw the Black August hip hop events, so there's the Black August movement. That's a separate issue, but there's Black August hip hop movement. We saw Common and Dead Prez, of course, Stream Hampton, a bunch of folk going to Cuba and really doing interesting and important organizing work over there and cultural work. Assata was right there. Very important work was done, and she was right there. Assata published her autobiography, and it was a game changer. I'll come back to that in a moment. But people became more and more familiar with her writings. You began to see poems written like Palenque Queen and other things written about her. There was a wonderful documentary on Assata that was produced. Hopefully it'll get a new life now. So much work out there is indebted to Assata. And over time, she had to lay low because of the intensifying search for her. But she always stayed in touch with her beautiful and necessary and connected comrades and community. Nahanda, of course, another wonderful comrade of hers who passed away a couple of years ago. I mean, just such beauty and power in the story. Assata meant so much to so many of us. But in the last few years, since the death of Mike Brown, we began to see Assata kind of have a second life in the same way that Baldwin had another life. His writings, his work had kind of an internet renaissance in the last decade or two. I write about it in my book, Seen and Unseen. We saw a similar thing with Assata. Everywhere you went in the Black liberation movement, or everywhere you went in the movement for Black lives, you would hear people reciting something that Assata said, not in her autobiography, but another work where she said, "It is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to win. We must love and support each other. We have nothing to lose but our chains." And those words of Assata were recited, and it became like an affirmation. There's, again, great beauty and power. You saw people wearing, Asada taught me, and Asada images, and all these things, and we began to really understand who Asada was. One of the reasons why I encourage people to read the autobiography of Asada Shakur is because she gets into depth about so many of these things. For me, there are two. I don't usually show, but I have like a tattoo here, the autobiography of Malcolm X. I have another tattoo here of Asada. Both of them are on me because these are the two books that radically changed my world, radically changed my life, radically changed how I understand myself and what was possible. I think Asada is one of the most underrated political biographies or autobiographies, memoirs maybe that they are. I mean, I love hearing and seeing people tell their own story, but the story she tells is powerful. She's reflecting on what happened in the Black Panther Party. She's talking about some of the moments of, she's talking about the moments of contradiction and tension. She's talking about some of the issues that were happening in Oakland and in New York. She talked about Huey's kind of theoretical turn. We talked about the negation of the negation and losing people in her mind. She talked about her own experience as a Black girl growing up, both in the North and in the South. She talked about sexual violence and sexual assault. I remember there's a powerful piece in her autobiography where she said, they assaulted me. I understood why I hated them. What I couldn't understand is why they hated me so much. That always stuck with me. When she told her story about prison, when she told her story about the kidnapping, her being kidnapped, when she talked about what it meant to be on that turnpike, when she talked about the railroading, when she talked about the losses of life that she had to deal with, when she talked about the women inside that prison who she built powerful relationships with. Remember Rhinoceros Woman? When she talked about what it meant to create life in the midst of death, her beautiful, wonderful daughter, a baby girl at the time, what it meant to produce her. In the midst of impossibility, she made the impossible possible. There's something so powerful and beautiful about that. And that's what Asada did in prison. And then there is this moment where she talks about how she knew she had to leave. It's a moment where her daughter Kikuyu was pushing against those bars. And she was saying, "Mommy, you could leave if you wanted to." Because she thought her mommy was in prison and didn't want to be with her. And they let her push against those bars. They let her push against the thing. And they saw her little body get defeated. They saw her little body get deflated, but they saw her little body understand. And Asada said, that's when I knew I had to leave. And I think part of the power of that book is she said she had to leave, and the next thing you know, the next chapter, freedom. That's so much this book changed. It's tattooed all over me. She was in Cuba. There's so much power and beauty in who Asada is and what she was and what she meant and who she is to all of us. If you old school hip hop heads will listen to Rebel Without a Pause and hear Chuck D talk about I support Chesamar. That's who he's talking about. Joanne Chesamar. He's talking about Asada Shakur. Go back and listen to Like Water for Chocolate. Listen to a song for Asada. Listen to Down by Law. She got the face of a model. She got the heart of Asada. Right? I'm talking about Killer Mike's album. There's so much power in there. Asada gives us and gave us a window into the inhumanity of the prison. She gives a window into the possibilities of liberation. Another thing I love about Asada and about that book is the beauty and power of creativity. Asada's book, her autobiography, is filled with poetry. For me, again, it was a life changer. The book isn't just an autobiography. It's not just a memoir. It's also a creative endeavor. The book starts with affirmation, And affirmation is the affirmation is the opening piece of the book. And she says, it's called affirmation. I believe in living. I believe in the spectrum of beta days and gamma people. I believe in sunshine, in windmills and waterfalls, tricycles and rocking chairs. And I believe that seeds grow into sprouts and sprouts grow into trees. I believe in the magic of the hands and in the wisdom of the eyes. I believe in rain and tears and in the blood of infinity. I believe in life, and I have seen the death parade march through the torso of the earth, sculpting mud bodies in its path. I have seen the destruction of the daylight and seen bloodthirsty maggots prayed to and saluted. I have seen the kind become the blind and the blind become the bind in one easy lesson. I have walked on cut glass. I have eaten crow and blunder bread and breathed the stench of indifference. I have been locked by the lawless, handcuffed by the haters, gagged by the greedy. And if I know anything at all, it's that a wall is just a wall and nothing more at all. It can be broken down. I believe in living. I believe in birth. I believe in the sweat of love and in the fire of truth. And I believe that a lost ship, steered by tired, seasick sailors, can still be guided home to port. That's the opening poem to the book. And it still gives me hope. It still gives me it still does so much for me. I can't speak for anybody else, but so much for me. But there are other poems in there. After she got pregnant by Zayd and they had this baby in prison, remember, she's in life, she's locked in a prison doing life. She's never supposed to have human touch again, and she manages to conceive a child. And she wrote the poem, "Love is contraband in hell, because love is an acid that eats away bars. But you, me, and tomorrow hold hands and make vows that struggle will multiply. The hacksaw has 2 blades. The shotgun has 2 barrels. We are pregnant with freedom. We are a conspiracy." There's so many. I'm gonna read just 1 or 2 more. One of my favorites, I think my favorite is, if I can find, I know about heart, but I want to make sure I don't mess anything up. Is it everything? I don't mess it up. So everything I love is from a different world. Let me see. Yeah, I got it right. Okay. Everything you love is from a different world. Hungry, you turn your nose up at my peas and rice. It's a short one. You know, when she wrote it at the end of chapter 8, it was about the tension and contradiction between being Black and American. But I see it as a love poem too. I chose to read it as a love poem as well. Right? Everything you love is from a different world. Hungry, you turn your nose up at my peas and rice. There's another one I want to read to you. And I love it. I love it for so many reasons. Well, you know what? I won't keep reading poems. I know that ain't what everybody wants to do tonight. But I got to tell you, Asada's poetry for me is special. It does something to me. It does something for me. It's funny, Mumia Abu-Jamal called me tonight. And now I realize I couldn't answer because I was on air, but I now wonder if he was calling to talk about Asada. He must be, because they live such parallel lives in so many ways. it's hitting me now. I'm sorry, I'm processing this. I hope I get to talk to him tomorrow, because I'd love to know also just what he thinks and thought about all of this. There's so much to be thought and said about Assata, but please read that autobiography. Please read her story. Please understand who she is and who she was, and why she matters so much to us, why she has mattered to our liberation struggle. Assata lived free. She committed to freedom. And the fact that the United States could not catch her, the fact that Cuba protected her, there's so much beauty and power in that. And there's so much hope that I find in that. And I'm so grateful to our gods and our ancestors that she did not have to spend one more moment in the last 40 years. Shit, almost the last 45, 46 years, she did not have to spend one moment back in the dungeon, not one moment back in the cages. I'm grateful. I'm so grateful. So, Mama Assata, rest in peace, rest in power. May your soul ascend. You're soaring. And as Rennie just wrote here, shout out to her comrades, to our comrades, because this is not a one person show. This is not a story of a single great person. It's a story of community, a story of collaboration, a story of collective struggle that allowed Assata to be free, but Assata was not free for her own benefit only. Assata tied her liberation to the liberation of others. She never stopped struggling. The name Assata literally means she who struggles. And she struggled in loving service to her people until the day she died. I'm so grateful. Thank you, Mama Assata. We love you forever. Forever. It is hands off Assata. Forever. It is free all political prisoners. What's the call? Free them all. I love y'all. I'll see y'all later. Peace.